Well, you can kiss the 40 series goodbye. Let's talk about it. Before that, this video is brought to you by Jawa. Jawa is a marketplace exclusively for buying and selling computer parts that offers much lower fees than places like eBay and was built for gamers by gamers. With its insanely low fees at 3.5% that maxes out at $50 and 3% for payment processing, as a seller you can save hundreds over using other sites. Not only that, but you can rest assured you'll have a great experience whether you're a buyer or seller, as Jawa pre-vets all verified sellers and they're always open to feedback. So if you're looking for a great place to buy and sell computer parts, be sure to click the link in the description below to find out more. That's right, you heard me correctly. People are now talking about how Nvidia may actually be skipping the RTX 40 series entirely, which is definitely coming as a big shock to me and I think everybody else. But you know, where did this all begin and what is it going to mean for gamers? Well, in order to figure that out, let's first take a look at where this all began with a tweet from the prominent leaker Compate7Kimi. And if you've seen this guy before, you probably also know that he's gotten a lot of stuff right when it comes to Nvidia, so I definitely take what he has to say very seriously, and so does everybody else. Now, here's what he had to say about the RTX 40 series. Quote, star 90 PG 137/139-SKU330 8102-300 24G 21 gigabits per second 600 watts. Now that might sound like a lot of gibberish to some of you guys out there, although I'm sure some of you also already know what this means. And if you don't know, well, he's basically talking about the RTX 4090, or what we were calling the RTX 4090. He's talking about the power draw being 600 watts. He's talking about having 24 gigabytes of VRAM running at 21 gigabits per second, and he's talking about the SKU number itself. But one thing that's here that's actually very, very interesting and that he's never done before is he actually omitted the 40 and 4090, and this got a lot of people talking. A bunch of articles were written. People were freaking out all over the internet, wondering, is the RTX 40 series canceled? In fact, another Twitter leaker, Harukaze5719, actually had this to say: Lovelace's product name, hoping 4000. And then he actually said below that, RTX 4000 series or RTX 5000 series. Well, whatever. And this got even more people talking. And again, people were freaking out. Is the 40 series canceled? What is going on with these next generation GPUs? And honestly, this was a little bit concerning because Compate7Kimi wouldn't necessarily just omit the 40 for no reason. And so now people are believing that we don't necessarily know if it's gonna be the 40 series or the 50 series. There's been some talk of them moving to the 50 series rather than the 40 series because 4 is a unlucky number over in China. And of course, China is gonna be a big market for Nvidia to be selling their GPUs. So that's why there's been a lot of talk of Nvidia possibly skipping the 40 series altogether. But does this mean that the next generation is gonna be even more powerful because they're moving to the 50 series? Well, you know what? I'm sure that Jensen is gonna go ahead and take that marketing angle. However, whether or not they call it the 40 series or the 50 series, I honestly don't believe anything is gonna be changing whatsoever other than the name itself. And maybe they'll use it as an excuse to push prices up just that little bit more. But if you're worried about this thing being delayed or something, or you're worried about things changing with the GPU itself, no, that's likely not going to be the case. All you have to know right now is that there is a possibility that these things could end up being called the RTX 50 series rather than the 40 series. Now, personally, I'm still hoping for the 40 series, and I'm going to go ahead and continue calling it the 40 series until I see even more confirmation that they are going to go for the 50 series. But just keep in mind, if you see people talking about the RTX 50 series, we could actually be talking about the same Lovelace architecture. But speaking of Lovelace, we actually have another piece of information that just got leaked out about Nvidia's next generation GPUs that's definitely really exciting stuff. And what we're talking about here is the pricing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and warn you guys up front that this far away, talking about pricing, things could definitely change. But you know what? Honestly, this leak is looking like they're probably pretty close on the money, at least in my opinion, as to where I believe the pricing is going to land. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. Now, this information comes from the website Hardware Times, and they say, quote, a report from my drivers states that the GeForce RTX 4090 will cost $1,899 at launch, a $400 increase over the RTX 3090 while essentially doubling the performance. Now, I do find this actually very interesting because, like I mentioned previously, honestly, saying with absolute certainty what the price of these cards are going to be when we're around 6 months away from them actually launching is definitely a bold move. Now, if they said, I'm guessing it's going to be around here, hey, that would make a lot more sense. But honestly, guys, sometimes these things don't get actually determined until basically just before the cards are launched. The pricing is something that can be changed, pretty quickly, rather than something like a cooler or something about the GPU itself. Those things can take time, but the pricing, yeah, that can definitely be adjusted kind of somewhat on the fly. So honestly, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is nowhere near confirmed, and it's probably most likely someone who is probably probably just giving their best guess on this. So in terms of a leak, probably not super strong, but that does actually remind me, I actually gave my thoughts on where the RTX 40 series would land in terms of pricing not that long ago. And taking a look at the RTX 4090, I also said I expected to drop somewhere between $1.8 and $2,000. Now, if you're wondering, I am also believing that there's going to be a 4090 Ti, which is going to be just that little bit faster and probably come in at $2,000 plus, which is going to be a very ludicrous price for a consumer grade GPU. But hey, I think AMD and Nvidia learned that during this previous mining boom, there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of money that they're willing to spend on PC parts that maybe weren't in the PC space ever before. Now, in terms of other things like the RTX 4080 Ti, I'm actually expecting that to come in probably around $1,400, so a small increase there. Though that being said, $200 is definitely not a small increase. Then taking a look at the RTX 4080, here I'm expecting it to come in at $899. In the 4070, I'm actually expecting to come in at $679. So we're looking at actually pretty substantial price increases from what I'm estimating out of the RTX 40 series. Once again, I can't say 100% for sure if these are going to be the final prices, and it's definitely going to come down to how competitive people like AMD and Intel are in the GPU space as well. That could definitely make a big impact on the final pricing of these GPUs, but I think we can all expect at this point that yes, pricing is going to be going up for the RTX 40 or 50 series or whatever they end up calling it, because frankly, the RTX 30 series the entire time was being sold well above its MSRP anyway, and only just now are we getting to reasonable prices. And again, I think AMD, Nvidia, and Intel are all taking note of this, and they're probably going to have those higher prices than you were originally expecting before the 30 series launched. Now, how much higher? That's a good question, and honestly, it's going to come down to whether or not people in the GPU space are willing to pay for it. So if you're a PC gamer and you're willing to pay for an RTX 3090 Ti or 3090, then Nvidia is going to take note of that. But if less people buy things like a 3090 Ti and 3090, well, then the prices probably won't be increasing quite as much. So if you want to see the next generation not be that big of an increase in price, you still do have the power to influence that, and your special power is to just not buy something. If you don't like the price, you 100% have the power to say, hey, that's just not a good deal and I'm not going to buy it. And people like Nvidia and AMD will take note and go, hey, people aren't buying these as much, we're going to have to go ahead and lower the prices, or maybe their next generation cards just won't be quite as expensive as they were originally hoping to do. So there you go. That's your guys' special power. And of course, make sure that you let Nvidia and AMD know if the prices are too high. Just let them know, hey, I'm not happy with this and I'm going to go ahead and buy a GPU at this price tier. But hey, that's just what I think. Do you think Nvidia's next generation cards are going to be called the 40 series, or do you think they're going to call them the 50 series? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to drop a like. Every time you do so, AMD and Nvidia get more stock. Also, if you want to see more, click here. You won't be disappointed.